I Today's video is gonna be in addition to the first two, well, the first one initially, but part two was just the documents. Now, I'm about to explain the documents, and the title of this is gonna be how, because a lot of people try to figure out. Even I was trying to figure out at the time how. I One of the first documents was the arrest warrant. So the arrest warrant, I already explained how they got the information for that and what they did with all that type of stuff. So it was an arrest warrant on charging document. So the charging document, the arrest warrant was basically, they claim it was dated 4/18/2001. And the return of service wasn't until 4/23/2001. Statement of charges was attempted first degree murder, which they said the penalty for that was life. That's number one. Number two charge was assault first degree, 25 years. And then number three was use of handgun and felony crime of violence. And they said that carried 20 years. The assault first degree carried 25 years. And they gave me the notice of the defendant, right to counsel. They never explained none of that stuff. Then this way it gets interesting. Before I even get to that, I'm just going to make a brief note. The indictment, because I argued all this in my post-conviction and in my actual lawsuit against the state and the police and all that. The indictment actually states that defendant was not indicted until, it was issued June 20th. They say the court issued it June 20th, 2001. It's returnable by the 7th of, so that's July 6th, 2001 at 10 a.m. And so I'm just making a note of this because that's going to be a key date in one of my arguments later on, and something that I presented to the courts and all that stuff, and to the lawyer and everything. But in the indictment charges read as the first one, attempted murder. The second one is first degree assault. The third one is second degree assault. The fourth is use of handgun, felony or crime of violence. The sixth is possess regulated firearm by person under 21 years of age. The sixth and seventh one, they was trying to include my homeboy who was there at the time, and they tried to make it look like it was a defendant. He was a co-defendant with me, and this statement poses credibility because he was acting as a defendant with me, and therefore he was indicted at the same time as me, to try to give his statement more credibility. However, they took, as you're going to see when I read this application for statement of charge, they took all the information and manipulated it to what they wanted it to be so they could file charges. And this is a common practice amongst them. And this is why a lot of times they be like, people don't like the police, or they hate the government, or hate laws and the structure and stuff. No, people don't hate that. People not against the police in and of itself. People against the police that abuse their power, misrepresent what they're doing, get in those positions of power to do evil and wrong and all that. Everywhere has structure and structure and laws, rules and regulations, a commonality, how we're supposed to work together. And a lot of these laws are basically communications. Look, this is what we expect, and this is what we don't expect. You feel me? It goes to where your body, even your body, you ain't even got to make a law for your body, but it's a self-law anyway. Because if you eat a certain thing, your body going to reject it. You can't force your body to eat just anything. And even if you do, your body still going to reject it or end up killing you. You gonna kill yourself, or your body gonna kill you, because you ain't complying with the rules and regulations that set forth in its functionality. You feel me? That's how it works. Point blank. It's just how it is. But they try to redefine reality and how we're supposed to function in society and together communitively as a whole, and make you do what they want. You feel me? So it's one-sided, and that's what people don't like. Even in the streets, they got rules, right? Your household, you got rules and regulations. It ain't just, oh, go do whatever. Nah, it's not like that. You feel me? But they are so busy trying to exploit every situation and everybody to make themselves look like they're the best. They're the ones who run everything, all types of stuff. And I got a whole lot of examples of that, especially when I came home. But getting to this application for statement of charges, it says it was supposed to be filed in Palmer Park. They saying it was, and they said on March 24th, 2001 at 03:38 hours at 5000 Marlboro Pike, Capitol Heights, Prince George's County, Maryland 20743. The above named defendant acted out an attempted murder plot against the victim. Says the victim name. Then it say the defendant and his accomplices, such and such Whittington, driver, who was the driver, and the rear passenger, Gaddy, had a confrontation with the victim and his girlfriend. They're saying that the girlfriend was a key witness to this whole scenario that they're about to explain in the charging document. Say the victim's girlfriend was observed urinating openly in a public parking lot by the defendant and his accomplices. The victim became irate and confronted the defendant and his accomplices. A physical confrontation ensued, and the victim came out victorious over the accomplice, Gaddy. The situation was temporarily resolved until the defendant retaliated by approaching the victim's vehicle, and then explains the vehicle from the rear. The defendant entered the victim's vehicle, possibly through a rear passenger door, and shot the victim once in the head with an unknown type of handgun. The defendant and his accomplices fled the scene, and then inside the car wearing unknown registration plates. The victim was flown to Baltimore shock trauma in critical condition. This investigator arrived on scene and took over the investigation. The defendant and his accomplices made no attempt to render first aid and fled the scene with malice intent to seriously injure or kill the victim. Further investigation revealed everyone in the shooting scenario. Warrants were obtained for all individuals involved in the case. The accomplice, Whittington, arrested, and impound led to the arrest of Gaddy and the identification of the defendant Cox, the primary suspect. All events occurred in Prince George's County, Maryland. Wow. This goes back to when I was talking about some of my previous videos that you watched on my Facebook. It's talking about how we created storytelling and how the deceiver took these storytelling concepts and ideas and started manipulating them to serve their own personal interests. And then they started to use it to try to control people. And part of this story that they told is a control group scenario in which they're trying to make people believe that certain events and actions took place so they can manipulate them into accepting their information as facts so they could do the illegal and unlawful stuff that they wanted to do, which was illegally obtain, detain, and arrest the individuals that they claimed was involved in an illegal act. So, with that said, later on, I'm gonna go ahead and break down the female who they claimed was the key witness in the whole scenario. Her statement never said none of that. The only thing that they did say was, my homeboy saw her taking a piss, trying to take a piss, and she saw me walk up to him and tell him to step back. That was the only thing that was true in that situation. As far as what he just said in his charging document, everything else was a whole bunch of bull. Slim jumped out there before she even took a piss. Ain't nobody even had no idea she was gonna take a piss at this time. Soon as Slim came out, I say something, Slim jump out his mouth sideways, not even trying to figure out what's going on or what. The whole time I know the girl. She my homegirl friend. Come to find out, she's my homeboy who used to live on Nova Avenue cousin. I've been to her house before, and I used to chill over that jump. And I never knew it was her until later on. And then I was like, man, thanks. So when I ain't seen her in years. So I was like, yeah, about a year or two, something like that. So probably longer than that. And I was like, Slim, go ahead, huh? I was like, man. So he was like, Slim jump out there, hey dog, don't be saying nothing to my girl. I'm like, say what, nigga? So I explained the whole situation. I'm not gonna get into full detail because I explained everything in my PSI. And part of my PSI was a setup by the state. What they thought they was gonna do, they thought they was gonna manipulate me. They was gonna keep lying on me to keep me in prison, and then manipulate me into taking a plea deal. That they was gonna in turn use the false information to make it look like it was validated by me taking a plea. And then they was gonna continue to lie and make it look like the lie was the truth when it wasn't. So when I ended up taking the plea, I had to take the plea because they kept lying on me and setting me up. So the only way I could prove that they was working together, the state's attorney, the fake lawyer that they gave me, that I had, and the judge, I had to prove that all of them was working together because there's no way the judge would allow me to take the plea based on the information that was provided. It was no way because all the information was so contradictory and so messed up and out of whack. It was no way. So and then the terms of the plea deal was consistently breached. And then the lawyer allowed all of it to happen. She never intended to defend me, never attempted to, never tried, none of that. She just allowed it and helped them set that plea deal up. I told her I wasn't taking a plea the whole time. Every time she came in there, I said, I'm not taking a plea. I'm trying to go to trial. If you want to keep me in here, I'm going to trial. So she set the whole plea deal up. Before I even went to the plea deal, I'm jumping out. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just putting, we won't set the standard of how this situation happened. Before I even took the plea deal, she said, I'm gonna have to take a plea deal, and he was offering me 30 years. I said, man, I told you I'm not taking no plea deal. Don't come at me with no plea deal. If you want to keep me in here, I'm going to trial. So she said, okay. She said, after that conversation, next thing you know, it was no. Before that happened, it was a Monday. Before the police situation came up, it was on Monday. She was like, everything looking good. You about to go home. Right after that, that's when 3 days later she came with the plea deal situation, talking about I got a plea. So they played the duress and stress game on me, trying to subject me to a situation where it forced my hand to accept what they was doing. I was like, no, son, I'm not doing that. So next thing you know, that Thursday came, I ended up going to court. I'm like, all right, so what's this for? Didn't know it wasn't on the docket, it wasn't registered or none of that stuff. And he was like, so I told him, I said, hold up, man, I'm trying to call my peoples because when they woke me up, I said, I gotta call my peoples because they supposed to be going to court. When I go to court, they was like, oh no, we can't allow you to do that. He said, man, it's a breach of security. I'm like, young, so y'all just proved that y'all set this up to set me up. So all right, boom, I ain't even tripping. I'm going to go to the courtroom, and that's when the whole police situation came up and all that other type stuff. And I broke down the whole situation, which I'm gonna speak on later. But backdating to getting back to this point, shorty information was nothing like that. And the whole situation with all this information is it was false. Cause I'm like, Slim, there's no way you gonna have me take a plea on false information. And the state's attorney was on some bull. So with that said, when I'm in that jump, I'm breaking down all the information. I'm looking at all of it. Her testimony didn't say nothing, none of that. And when Slim jumped out there, he jumped out there before. So when he said what he said, I said what I said. So Slim sobered up. He was drunk. So when I said what I said, what? Say what? So he seen I wasn't playing. I got serious. So he hurried up and sobered up. He hit this one of them moves like, oh, it's real. And then tried to hurry up and go to his car. I'm from the street. I'm like, man, hold up, Slim. I'd have been in too many clubs. The main reason I stopped going to clubs is for the same situation that happened that night. I was like, man, I stopped going to clubs. Like, son, why you don't go with us clubbing no more? Boom, boom. Go to parties. And I'm saying, nah, man, it's too many stupid people. They don't know how to have fun and enjoy themselves. And that's why I used to mess with Red Essence heavy, because it was an older crowd. You more so have an opportunity, even though they had stuff happening in there sometimes here and there. It was more likely that it was a grown-up environment to where they just wanted to party, have fun, and go about their business. It wasn't no party, have fun, but in the meantime, we gonna do some stupid stuff. You feel me? Or we gonna wild out or catch this dude slipping or whatever the case may be. You know, there was always a plot involved with some of these other jumps, and a lot of times it ain't the go-go band's fault. It's just the mentality of some of these people. You feel me? So that's why I stopped going to clubs. And then the one time I go to the club, I'm like, man, I'm back in school. I'm trying to hurry up and get it. I'm back in school, so I can hurry up and graduate, get that out the way, just to say I did it. I'm working full time. I'm about to go ahead and push for my clothing line, so I can get all that out the way, make it official. Because the whole time I was working with my family on the clothing line, through them. And I was like, man, I need to go ahead and branch out and do my own thing now. So I'm trying to celebrate. This is supposed to be my moment to celebrate.